Hello, welcome to Record Sports Hotline Live. My name is Daniel Caw, and I'm delighted to be joined by Record Sports one and only Craig Swan. 2 nights running.
Yeah, and apparently it's going to be more.
Back by popular demand.
Much to the chagrin of the viewers.
Well, listen, now that Keith's been demoted back to T-Boy, we needed to kind of up our game a wee bit, and I think we've done that, Swanee.
He's going to have you for that. He's not going to let that one go.
Probably get a text before we're done.
Way back.
You were obviously at Hampden today, Swanee, catching up with Steve Clarke and obviously the Scotland squad announcements for the Denmark and Belarus games. We'll talk a little bit about that later on. But of course, the big story today, we're less than 24 hours away now from Celtic's crucial Champions League qualifier against Almaty, the second leg. I caught up with Michael Gannon in Kazakhstan a little bit earlier on. I should say a very weary Michael Gannon. It looked like he was struggling a little bit with the time difference. But maybe we should hear from him just to get started.
Yep. Let's
hear what he had to say. Mick, you've just been hearing from Brendan Rodgers in Kazakhstan. He seemed in quite good spirits today, didn't he?
Yeah, very kind of jovial mood. It's like contrast to the kind of mood music behind around Celtic just now, with kind of fans being a bit grumpy and protesting and singing about the board and all that stuff. He seems to be quite relaxed and in quite good form. I think he's managed to. I think there is frustration, obviously, in the transfer market and all that kind of stuff, but he's kind of parked it. I think he just put it to one side and he's concentrating on what he's got and getting through this tie. Got a monumental match ahead of him this week out here at Almaty. We'll see how it goes.
So much, Mick, has been made of the journey to Kazakhstan, like it's Narnia or something. Is it that bad?
Nah, to be honest with you, it's not easy. I mean, it took 15 hours for us yesterday to get out here. There's only a couple of papers out here from Scotland. We left Edinburgh about 10 o'clock, 10:30 Sunday morning, getting about 5 o'clock in the morning out here.
Wow.
So the full day in the travelling, a couple of flights to get here. So it is I'm not entirely sure what time it is now. I think we're a bit upside down. So listen, it has got its challenges, but listen, Celtic squad's full of guys who are used to it. I mean, the guys like Japan, America, Canada. So they're kind of used to going long haul and then having to perform. So I think a lot of guys will be all right with it. Listen, they flew in a big fancy plane, and it was quite a luxurious journey for them. Not so much for us, unfortunately, not much for me. It was a slightly more challenging flight for myself, but it was all right. Listen, it was fine.
Aye.
It's not bad.
Well, I mean, obviously, it's a massive game for Celtic, season-defining in many ways. The team was talked about a lot last night on Hotline Live, how Celtic will line up. Do you anticipate it will be Forrest, Ida and Maida if he does fit? Or do you think Negren might play further forward?
I think Negren's performance the weekend might have come into his thinking, playing kind of wide right. I think Negren will bring an attacking element you probably need. I think he's a goal threat. Obviously scored 3 goals his first 3 games. So that's an interesting one. Does he go with Maida through the middle, with Forrest and Negren as his wide men? I think that's a distinct possibility. Ida obviously injured at the weekend, not in great form. So then does he go with one of the other boys? Does he go with Shin Yamada or Johnny Kenny? Johnny Kenny looked pretty lively at the weekend. It might be a bit of a step up for them, I think, at this stage. I think Maida's probably the more realistic option. So I wouldn't be surprised if it was Forrest and Negren in the wide areas and Maida through the middle. Wouldn't surprise me in the slightest.
I kind of thought, I don't know what you think, but his comments about Maida last week, he said he brought him off because we can't wait, for him to take a chance. I kind of feel that Ida's confidence is a wee bit short at the minute.
Yeah, I get that impression as well. There's not much happening for him now. The ball's bouncing off him. His hold-up play hasn't been great. He's not. The worrying thing for him is he's not getting chances. It's not even as if he's like missing chances. He's not getting some position to miss chances.
Yeah.
Because strikers, you can put up the guys missing 3 or 4 chances, they put 1 or 2 away, but it's getting into the positions, and I don't think he's doing that right now. It's not a great start. It didn't look great coming back into pre-season. It's not clicked into gear yet. So they can't really afford to have another 45 minutes wasted. I don't think you can blame him for the first half last week. I don't think you can say it was only Rangers' fault, but I think he was a part of it.
Yeah.
But Celtic in general didn't play particularly well in that first half, and he was a major component of it. So I just think that there could be some changes in that one. But then again, he's a player I think who thrives in confidence, and he goes and goal scoring runs. I think if he gets a goal, he'll get a few. Just getting that first one in the back of the net for him.
Aye, and in the press conference with Brendan Rodgers, Mick, he did kind of tease, I think in his own words, one or two bits of transfer news that could come to fruition. I think he said by the time they're back in Glasgow. I think obviously Michel Ange Balakwisha is one of them.
Yeah.
Any clues about any potential others?
Plus, there's been two or three more names mentioned. I think there's a lot of irons and fires. The Balakwisha one obviously is done and dusted. It's all barring kind of any last minute hitches. That should be done within the week. Will he be ready for the weekend? I would doubt he can go right in, but you'd maybe up on the bench. I don't know. But yeah, they're going to start. Listen, the window shuts on Monday.
Yeah, Monday. Yeah.
So yeah, there will be 3 or 4 players coming in the next less than week. So it goes without saying. So the end of the week is Friday. So it means you get 1 or 2 in by Friday would be pretty helpful for the weekend game against Rangers. But there'll definitely be 3 or 4 in the door by Sunday, Monday. I would expect nothing less, and I know this. Celtic know this as well, so they'll ramp it up and they will get these guys in.
Right.
It's just the kind of frustration that a lot of fans will have if it turns out to be too late. If they don't come through this tie with these players not in the door, there's going to be questions asked like why not? Because they are kind of, I'm not saying packed together, but they're not firing the full cylinders for this tie.
Aye.
In terms of it's not even about strengthening or developing a team, it's about maintaining the team. They've lost key players and not replaced them, so they've kind of put themselves behind the 8 ball a wee bit. And this tie is going to be tough. I think they're a similar kind of game to last week. I don't think Kerry are going to come out all guns blazing. I don't think that's their style, so they're going to have to be patient and play their own game. But it's going to be hot and humid. It's still warm just now. I think I don't know what time. I think it's about 7 o'clock local time. It's really warm. Even by 9:45 tomorrow night, it'll still be warm. So there is going to be. It's quite a sticky pitch. It's not. I think there is going to be issues that they have to get round, but they still should have the quality to get this tie done. But they've made it hard for themselves. That's for sure.
That's what I was going to ask, Mick. I mean, they aren't firing all cylinders. I think you're spot on to say that. They weren't great last week. But, in all their games, they've conceded 1 goal in 5 games so far, 3 wins from 3 in the league. Do you think Celtic will get through?
You know what? I think they will. I think they will. I think it'll be. I don't think it'll be like previous games. I think that we keep talking about the last time in Astana, they got a bit hairy. Having been 6-1 ahead of the tie at one point, and then 4-1 down on the night and 6-4, and it got a bit mental. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think Kerry are that kind of team anyway. And I think you're right. Celtic have been defensively very solid. I think Celtic need to get ahead. Again, I said to you last week before the game, I think the last 20 minutes if they start having to make changes, that's when Celtic are going to struggle because they haven't got the bodies and the bench to affect games properly. And Sure enough, last week the last 20 minutes was all over the place in terms of structure and I had a few chances, but it wasn't a constant effort in getting that winner. So I think they need to get ahead. I can see them getting a goal and then having to see it out. I think Celtic will narrowly see it through. I think the good thing is I think Celtic are defensively better now than I think in previous times. I think they could see it out. I said I don't think. Kerry have got their own problems in terms of guys missing. The young lad in the middle of the park is obviously suspended. So that by visit the boys going to Chelsea. It's a big loss for them. The goalie's out as well. He was good last week. I thought the goalkeeper was good, and a couple of other players as well. So I don't see them being like the most dynamic of teams going forward. I think it suits them to hit the break, but I still think get a goal at some point. I think it changes the tie completely. I think it will be enough to kind of see them through. I think a narrow 1-0 win. I think would be my prediction. But then again, I said 4-0 last week, and I got my pants pulled down. I should have seen that one coming.
Just very finally, Mike, before I let you go, what's your plans for tonight?
Well, I must admit, I'm still a wee bit weary from the journey yesterday. But so what time is it? 7:30 now, local time. So we'll get organised and go out for a bite, go for a horse steak somewhere. I like to try the local delicacies when I'm in these kind of places. So The last time I was here, I had a bit of horse, and I'll try a bit again. Must
How
admit,
was it?
It wasn't my favourite. I must admit, it was a wee bit tough. I was going to say giving the trots, but I'm not going there. Not going there. Not
No
going
way
there.
I'd beaten that.
No. So I don't know. I'll try something, but I must admit, Almaty, I was here at Aberdeen about 10 years ago, about 12 years ago. It's some big changes. It looks completely different to when I was here last time. It's really kind of a really modern, smart place. So yeah, so we're going to check it out and see what it's like.
Mick,
A quiet evening retiring.
I was going to say,
as always.
Libraries and that, aye, definitely.
Yeah, I've got a good book. I've got a good book on the go, so we're tucking myself up in bed, trying to beat
Well,
the jet lag and getting refreshed for tomorrow night's game.
I hope the game is a bit more entertaining than the book. I hope it's a cracker for you, and safe travels up the road when the time comes.
No worries. We'll catch you tomorrow.
Thanks, Mick. I need to start by apologising to yourself, Swanee, and everyone watching for that horse joke there. I've let myself down. I've let my family down. I apologise sincerely.
I mean, usually when people are talking about what they're going to have on a horse, it's a 5 or a 10, not tomato sauce.
That's very true, eh? That's a very good point. We've got comments coming in thick and fast. If you want to get involved in the conversation, please hit us with your comments and we'll try and read them out. I caught a lot of, this one caught my Swanee. Mick's there obviously talking about he thinks there could be up to 4 players in by Monday. Charlie says the board could spend 20 million on 3 or 4 players to ensure qualification, still make 18-20 million pounds after qualification. And Paul says you've got to play Engels for the running power. He's came onto a game, his delivery might be a difference. I think I'm right in saying yesterday we talked about it, you would bring Engels back in, wouldn't you, into the midfield?
What Paul said is exactly what I said last night.
Yep.
Running power, decided on a dead ball, and the option of putting Egan in a wide position to possibly get a goal from there, to get Maida through the middle and get Engels his legs and dead ball delivery on the pitch. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Well, but Sean McLaren says before Saturday they said Maida through the middle, but Shin looked a menace. I think you said that you were impressed by Shin at the weekend. I think there's definitely a player there. But
I was impressed by his movement. I liked his movement. I liked as though he was trying to get in behind the last defender. But the problem is the one time he made a cracking run and he got in and he choked his shot because he panicked. So, you're looking for a wee bit more composure. So you would maybe be concerned about that type of thing. They got in. Listen, Kyogo missed his fair share of chances as well when he got through. To be fair, he was a brilliant finisher, but he did miss his chances as well. I mean, there was one run he had to the near post in the second half to meet a Yank cross when he got across the front of the defender and just knocked it wide. Things like that were I thought were quite a good sign going forward, but I'm not suggesting for a man it's a long-term solution. Certainly need to get a striker in. And in terms of tomorrow, the mixture of pace and experience of Maida have been over the course, I would say, would make him the favourite, surely. And
Marzuno in the comments says we couldn't play any worse than last week, which I think is a fair point. I mean, Celtic were pretty poor last week. Look, in my head, I keep thinking Celtic have got more than enough to get through this tie, but obviously it's just the whole Kazakhstan thing. They've been there 4 times previously. They've never won. But then that makes me think maybe they're due a win. I mean, it's such a tight one to call.
Yeah, different games, different stadium, different set of circumstances. I think Neil Lennon was putting together a team the first time in Karagandhi. I think Brendan Rodgers was putting a team together the second time in a you could argue Celtic haven't put a team together yet for this one. I think the third one, obviously they won the home leg 5-0. A strange game when you're going in that situation. So I think all ties are different. I think this one will be. I think this one will be different as well. I think it's going to be tight, as Mike suggests.
For anyone that missed last night's show, Swanee, you like Kazakhstan? It was quite a nice place.
I liked it. Yeah, I like adventures. I like on the places. I did laugh when Mick was talking about the heat. It reminded me of. I remember Celtic played Karabag in Azerbaijan. I think it was. No, I'll tell you who it was. It was Alashkert and Armenia Armenia, and it was like 90, 95, 100 degrees in the day before the game. And I remember we spoke to Brendan Rodgers before the game and talking about, the need for possibly water breaks and safety of players. And mate, it got to kick-off time, we're all looking for jumpers.
Really? Was that bad?
The sun went down and started getting chilly. It was really weird.
Wow.
So, maybe the kick-off time will help Celtic tomorrow because I think it's quite late.
Aye, local time, it's quarter to 10 kick-off tomorrow night, local time. So
that's just generally the way. You hope that it's cooled a little bit from the norm. Listen, it'll still be sticky, I would imagine. But
and again, just for anyone that did miss last night's show, I think we're both in agreement that Celtic will get through. You think they'll have enough?
I think they will, yeah. Listen, I saw the comments from the Kairat Almaty coach today saying Celtic were guilty of underestimating them. Celtic will deny that and say they don't underestimate anyone. But the way they started the game was lethargic. And if I was a Kairat coach, that was probably what I would think. They've come out walking about here, whereas Celtic are renowned for fast, aggressive, powerful starts, especially at home. They did none of that last week. So I can totally understand why the Kairat manager might have said that. The difference is this week, the Celtic, even if there was a tad of that involved in them, and I'm not sure that Brendan Rodgers allows it, even if there was, there certainly won't be tomorrow night because there can't be. They have to win this tie. Because I think Michael makes a very good point. Celtic don't have a backup brigade, really.
No.
Come and win a game with 20 minutes to go. They do have players on the bench. You would imagine the likes of Luke McCowan and Paulo Bernardo who can come on and keep the ball if you're a goal in front.
Mm-hmm.
You've got something to hang on to, you know. I suspect that they would be able to do that and see a game through. But if they're a goal down or a couple of goals down with 20 minutes to go, we're already suggesting that Celtic are thinning options for a starting lineup, never mind what's going to happen with 20 minutes to go. So, I think Michael's right. They have to come out, they have to get in front, and they have to stamp their authority in the game and give themselves something to hang on to.
Well, obviously, we'll be covering the outcome from tomorrow night's game after the game at 8 p.m. So we'll be on a little bit later because obviously the game kicks off at 5:45 UK time. So we'll talk more about Celtic. Then Rangers easy okay in the comments when he says, once again, I'm in a foul mood. And I can only assume he's referring to more of the fallout that's came from yesterday's 1-1 draw with St Mirren.
No, it's watching you for 10 minutes.
Might be that. Can't rule it out. We obviously talked about the game yesterday, Swanee, but on today's Record Rangers podcast, available from all good podcast stores, our colleagues Scott McDermott and Andy Newport discussed the game and they gave their insight. And maybe we should hear what they had to say.
It's kind of stunk since he got back in the summer. He's clearly... Look, we're trying to read this from the outside. There's been a lot of speculation over the summer about Leo. For me, it looks like the boy is going away in the summer. He's been told that there's a bit of interest for Leo. It's appealed to him. No, it's one of the top 5 leagues. He speaks the language. In his mind, he probably thinks, right, that's the dream move for me, and it looks like he set his heart on it. And as far as we're aware, no serious bid yet has come in. I know Russell Martin said a bid was rejected, but we're led to believe that was like a cheeky loan offer that came in last week.
As far as I'm led to believe that, obviously Rangers have talked about sums like £15 million, and Lille have never been able. I've never thought that was achievable.
No. And it looks, again from the outside, it looks like, whether it's the agents or whether it's Leo or whoever have basically said to Igamane, look, you need to be unsettled at Rangers to try and push this through. And my big gripe with it is, and you touched on it, this is a boy, 22-year-old, for me, has achieved nothing in his Rangers career so far. I think he's had 4 really good games for Rangers. He scored the winner against Celtic. He had a hat-trick against Hibs at Easter Road where he was outstanding. He got a double against Nice in the Europa League, again where he was excellent. And he scores a wonder goal against Spurs at Ibrox, which really made the fans take him to their hearts. He scored 16 goals last season. I think he played 46 games, 16 goals, which is a decent return for a young
I think also playing off the left a lot didn't help him.
Aye,
having to accommodate Cyril Dessers.
But in the grand scheme of things, he is a rookie. Rangers have given him a wonderful opportunity. In his career, as you say, Philippe Clement plucking him from nowhere in Morocco. For relative little money, giving him that platform. Igamane, for me, should have went away in the summer thinking, right, new manager coming in, I'm going to go away, I'm going to work my backside off, come back and make sure I'm the number 1 striker for Rangers next season. and I'm going to take my game to another level, and eventually I'm going to get the move that I dream about. There's no way it was at that stage yet, and that has been proved by the lack of bids, the lack of offers, the lack of interest.
I mean, you have
in him
to,
over the summer.
and you have to say, I mean, looking at him so far, I mean, he came on in one of the early European games, he was part of Icos, looked okay, made an impact, gets himself a small injury, has missed the best part of a month, come back in last week, but, you know, what sort of conditions is he to go and make an impact? Should he go to Lille? I mean, this, again, it's dummy out the pram, sort of thing. If I was Lille, I would have concerns. Because what happens if he goes there and then somebody else starts taking interest in him there? You know, if you're going to have to go through the similar things that Rangers are now dealing with.
I think Rangers got a big decision to make now, Andy. You know, Russell Martin clearly wants rid of him, right? That's evident. But as we say, as it stands now, there's no offer that's suitable to Rangers. So what do they do? Igamane, the manager doesn't want any bad apples in the dressing room, right?
He said that he's desperate for the window to close.
Exactly, right. You can understand that. However, at what point do football clubs, or in this case Rangers, take a stance against players who have 4 years left their contracts, but because there's interest elsewhere, they decide to put the tools away? I mean, it's unacceptable. And for a guy who they didn't pay a lot of money for, so it's not as if Rangers are losing millions here, right? That's just not the case. He's known big wages. Genuinely, if I was Rangers, if I was Andrew Kavanagh or Patrick Stewart, I'd be tempted. I'm not saying it's going to happen because I know the way football is these days, but you'd be tempted to say to Igamane and his representatives, listen, the lesser bid comes in for 8 million plus, I think that should be the minimum that he goes for with 4 years left in his deal. The lesser bid comes in of minimum 8 million plus, you will sit in the B-team, you'll sit in the youths for a year. 4 years left. Rangers aren't under any great pressure to sell him, other than the manager probably wants him away from the training ground. But as it stands at the minute, if it's a loan offer or if it's for a couple of million quid, Rangers are well within their rights to say, no, you can just sit. No, you don't treat this club the way you have done and expect there to be no repercussions. So it's going to be really interesting anyway in terms of transfers, especially with Igamane now.
But obviously, it remains to be seen where Hamza Igamane's future lies. But Russell Martin, and I said last week in Hotline, I felt this was a game he had to win. Not so much in the eyes of the owners, the Americans, I felt he had to win it. In the eyes of the supporters, I think he's in danger of. A lot of them have already made their minds up and have decided he's not the man. I don't think he's done anything to dispel the doubts that supporters had. So where do you think he now sits in the eyes of supporters?
Well, in the eyes of the supporters, he's coaching a very sugary peg. I think the majority of them have made their minds up, as you say. The majority of them don't want him as manager, and he's got a huge task in trying to turn that opinion round. Look, it's been a disastrous start in the league. Let's not beat about the bush. I keep saying this. Russell Martin said himself. This isn't me saying. This is Russell Martin saying the day he got unveiled as Rangers manager that he had to build something and change a culture and change a mentality, but accepted at the same time they had to be winning games. No, the quote we always repeat from Patrick Stewart, but having to build the plane while flying it. They've not done
that. Andy Newport and Scott McDermott there. Swanee from Edinburgh Airport. Bosco is one of a few people slagging the audio. Look, the guys are so dedicated. They did it on their way to Bruges from Edinburgh Airport, so we really appreciate it. We've got lots of comments on the Rangers.
Yeah, I'm still here. I nearly picked up my bag and went to gate 15.
It was good of the Tannoy man to get a cameo. That was good. We've got a few comments in the Rangers situation. I'll get your take on them, Swanee. Matt Weir says Patrick Stewart has got a lot to answer for. Kavanagh and 49ers need to get their own CEO who can run the club ruthlessly and lay the foundations properly for future managers. Rangers' easy OK says, no matter what we think of Russell Martin, Igamane was warming up in front of me. Said to my pals, he couldn't care less, putting it nicely. We gave him the platform and pay his wages. His behaviour is a joke. Luke says, I reckon Igamane will be gone by the weekend, but he also says minimum 10 million plus 20% future sales. Although Paul follows it up by saying Igamane isn't worth 10 million, I mean 15. I'd say between 5 to 7 with add-ons, given his potential. Rangers are comparing Celtic's Kyogo and Riley. It's not a comparison. I was saying this recently, Swanee, that I've got a friend who's a big West Brom fan, a season ticket holder, and we were talking about Arne Engels and his £11 million fee in it, and he actually just, not in the wind-up, he said, so it wasn't a lot of money then. Like, see when people talk about like 10 million, it sounds a lot, obviously it is a lot for Scottish teams, but the landscape has changed so much now with transfers that I kind of think Rangers should be asking for that.
Yeah, we have this discussion a lot about players when they leave Scotland or when they're meant to be leaving Scotland. What should the value be? There's always the argument. The value should be on the player and the player alone, but it just doesn't work like that. There's a premium on the Scottish League, and that's it. And no matter, Celtic have been good at squeezing the best that they can out of clubs when they're selling players, but there's no doubt if those exact same players at the exact same stage of their career were leaving a club in the English Premier League to go to one of these countries, they'd probably get about double the fee.
Yeah.
It's just how it is. It's just market forces. It's just what happens in the game just now. I think Scott made a very good point. I don't think Hamza Igamane has done enough to command fees of £15 million, regardless of age and the length of contract that he's got left, the length he's got left on his contract. I think if Rangers could get a reasonable fee with a good chunky sell on to make sure that if he does blossom in the future at a higher level, that they get a large cut of that to offset what they might not get up front straight away. I think that might be the best way to go about it. You then obviously have to have the buying club to agree to that, but the way football is just now, they probably will. Because it's very short-termism and very short-term, most of the clubs. And if you can just get the player in for a fee now, they'll accept the sell-on clause down the road. It's been a popular way forward for a lot of clubs. And I think that might be the best way to go, because I don't think Rangers are going to get... And the other problem you've got now is the football world knows if that's the type of character he is.
Yeah.
I know football is lit up with these type of stories. We talked about Alexander Isak yesterday and his behaviour at Newcastle. Newcastle are making all the right noises. If we don't get the players, he's not going. We can reintegrate him. Listen, you can clip this up and bring it back to me next Tuesday. You'd be staggered if he's there next week, wouldn't you? Because eventually we'll get to the final day and they'll just go. And you would imagine a similar scenario would unfold with Igamane. I think Scott's thing's right. You know, if you were at a position just to stick him in the B team or, send them to train with the kids, then off you pop. We'll not bother with you, but Rangers could really do with getting the money in to try and get a replacement if they could. So faster that's done, the better.
Aye. Luke in the comments again says hopefully he's gone before the game on Sunday. There's reports now on Record Sport Online, which you can read, saying that Lille have ramped up talks with Rangers again. So
you wouldn't be surprised if that was Rangers ramping up talks with Lille.
That's a very good point.
Phone call back. Remember that call I had last week when I said you were talking rubbish? Well, by the way.
Can we talk again? Just very quickly on this, Swanee. Russell Martin obviously came out and said the thing about he basically more or less refused to come on yesterday. Do you think he should have done that in the sense that now any suitors kind of know that Rangers need to get rid of him?
No, we discussed this, didn't we, last night as regards the when Philip come on made his comments about Yanis Hadji. It made the situation very clear. I mean, I've heard countless managers talk about players. He could have a future here, and he's still an important member of the squad. And fine well from the background that he's going. He's going. I could name names, but I won't do that. It's not fair to people. But the players are leaving, and they can say what they like. But you have to protect the value of the players. So they're in the squad. They might come off the bench now and again just to make it look as if they're still part of it. Should Russell Martin have done it? Listen, we're always calling for honesty. Fans want honesty. You can't. I understand all the people that say, certain things should be kept in-house. Well, they don't work in the media, and they're no fans.
Plus, as well, Sonny, I was watching at home and I was thinking, why is he not?
If the fans have got a striker that's refusing to come on, they want to know. The fans want to know that.
They deserve to know.
And they deserve to know, absolutely, because they're paying his wages at the end of the
day. And plus, as well, like I was going to say, I was watching it yesterday and I was thinking, why is he not brought on Igamane? So he can't. Yeah, I think you're right. He had to be honest there, and he had to let the fans know what was going on. So fair play to him for that. Before we move on from Rangers, Pete raises an interesting point. He says, "Will Rangers rest players on Wednesday to focus on Sunday?" Now, I think I know what your answer will be, Swanee. There's no way he can rest for any game right now. Any players?
The way Rangers are playing just now, who do you rest?
Exactly, good point.
Who's the valuable player that must be there for Sunday? Everybody's underperforming. So, who do you choose who the valuable player is that has to be there for? You can go through the entire team in Paisley the other day and their performances prior to this, and it's not been good enough. So, I don't know. I don't know you're planning to rest. To be perfectly honest with you,
when I read it, I hadn't even thought that, but I think you're spot on. Who would you rest? Jack Butland, maybe?
Perhaps.
No, I can't see that happening. We will obviously talk about the Rangers a little bit later in the week. But Swanee, you were at Hamden today.
Yes.
The Scotland squad was announced. No major surprises. I mean, from a fan's point of view, I was delighted to see Kieran Bowie get the nod. Huge games coming up against Denmark and Belarus. Absolutely massive, and I know I speak for the country when I say we need to get to a World Cup. Yeah,
it would be wonderful, wouldn't it? It'd be wonderful for everybody just to get there. I mean, fans having the taste of the Euros, but the World Cup's next level again. It would just be an incredible thing, and it's just been far too long. Steve Clarke said that himself. It's far too long since the country's been there. There was a missed opportunity the last time, obviously, with the playoff loss to Ukraine. But it's just such a strange qualification campaign. We're so used to these things dragging over a year and such. 6 games, bang, bang, bang. Your entire World Cup your entire qualification campaign is basically crammed into the space of about 10 weeks. I mean, it's mad.
It used to be over 18 months, didn't it?
Sorry?
No, it used to be over 18 months, and now we're sitting here. The World Cup this time next year will have been over for a month, and we've not even started yet.
Yeah, and it tightened up a little bit, I think, when playoffs were introduced. I think I can remember one was possibly in a calendar year. Maybe it started at the end of one season and finished at the start of the other. I could be wrong with that, and I'm sure somebody will point out. I can never remember it being this quick. I mean, obviously, there's a quirk of the fact that Scotland are in a 14 group. That's obviously the reason for it. But, I mean, I suppose the good thing is, for all the countries that are involved in it, it's the start of the season. I think if you'd have had this, in the second, I know it's not going to be because the finals in the summer, but in the second half of the season, you start having tired players, injuries catching up with players. You sometimes get the full. At least it's at a time of the season when, most players should be up, running, fit and firing. But I mean, you're literally dropping it in right into the middle. We talk about the condensed calendar. You basically get the massive international fixtures where almost just dripped into the middle of this congested Champions League, set up. I mean,
it's crazy.
It's just the football calendar's just going crazy. I mean, we all know why. We all know it's for the money and the TV, and people want to watch a game every single night of the week. But I'm not sure that. Listen, if Scotland sail through it with 6 wins, then fair, but the greatest idea ever. But well, we just can't afford. We can't afford to be sluggish. I think in the last qualification campaign, we started reasonably slowly and then really picked it up, the last World Cup, and really picked it up towards the end to reach the playoff. You're not going to have time for that now.
Nah. I think we can look at the squad, the full squad that was announced today. I mean, is there anyone that surprised you at all?
Well, I think it was just brilliant to see Aaron Hickey back.
Aye.
He was such a talented footballer, made such an impact in the Scotland squad when he came in at first. And the boys just had some horrific luck with injuries. He basically not played for Scotland for the guts of 2 years. And it's just fabulous to have him back. And, Steve Clarke's had to juggle the pack there, obviously. And, Stephen O'Donnell with a go there, and Tony Ralston doesn't let anyone down, and young Max Johnson's coming through, and he's tried, he's had a look at players. But, at the time when Hickey was breaking through, you were watching Hickey play in that position, think to yourself, or else Scotland's right back for the next 10 years at least.
Yeah. And
it's just been so unfortunate what's happened to him. So, he's been a long, long time out. I don't think he's going to come. I think it's just been a couple of sub-appearances late in the game for Brentford so far, but you've got to start somewhere. It'll just be great to have him integrated back into the squad, whether he's ready to go for the games. Yeah, all the games, well, we don't know that, but it's just great to have him back. So I thought that was a good thing. Ben Doak's obviously back in. Ben Gannon Doak, I should say.
Michael Gannon Doak.
Yeah, indeed. Back in, obviously. I don't think he's been involved with the Scotland squad since last November, I think, just because of injury issues.
Maybe.
I think I've got that right.
I think so.
Hope so. I'm doing it for the paper tomorrow. Kieran Bowie, obviously, you mentioned. And the good thing is, I think it's important for Scotland to have. I know Kieran Bowie was involved at the end of last season. I know Doak's been involved before, but there still feels like a freshness about these boys. And it's nice to have that. Just the odd sprinkling. You know, you can't flood a load of young kids in at once, but you've got that experienced core there. Steve Clarke always talks about the core group. And you've got those guys now, your McTominays and your McGinns and your Robertsons and these boys that have got about a zillion caps between them. And you can integrate these lads into the system now a little bit easier. But, you know, it'll just be interesting to see, you know, Steve Clarke's brought Lyndon Dykes back. So,
yeah,
you know, I'm sure there'll be fans in Denmark absolutely screaming, why, if Lyndon Dykes starts before Kieran Bowie, why are we going back to the old? But
he's a very, very loyal manager, isn't he? Like
he's a very loyal manager, yeah.
He'll stick with the players he trusts.
Yeah, and to be fair to Steve Clarke, it's been something that's worked magnificently for him as a manager because, by God, the players stick by him.
Yeah.
They give him everything, and I think he's it's the oldest cliche in the book, you know, but I think he is a players manager, you know.
Yeah.
He's bothered about showcasing himself or, you know, coming out with clipboard statements and nonsense and new phrases. He's all about the players and speaking to them like men and treating them properly, and they give back for him in spades. So, listen, fingers crossed we can get to the World Cup finals. It would be absolutely magic.
Am I right? This has just popped into my head now, but is he actually confirmed, Steve Clarke, this will be his last qualifying campaign? Or is that just assumed?
Yeah, I think that seems to be the thing. He's kind of mentioned that. I'm not entirely sure exactly, but I mean, he's just kind of said he's here until the end of the campaign, and then
Aye.
I think that's just a natural. I think that's just a natural assumption there. That by that stage it'll be
9 years, something like that, close to it.
Well, obviously the hope is that he gets to the finals, and
a
brilliant way to send off by being at a World Cup finals, you know.
Aye.
Listen, there's a few Scotland fans who probably wished he wasn't there now, but I think he's done a good job overall. I think if you look at the two, listen, I'm not going to go over all this because we're going to have 11, 12 days of international hotline lives coming up. Let's just save it all for then.
Aye, absolutely. And hopefully we'll be doing a hotline live from, I don't know, New York, Texas, Mexico next year. I wonder if the bill payers at the Daily Record, do you think they'd send us all out there for that, or maybe just keep us in the studio here? What do you think?
I think you should be doing it for the top of the Empire State Building, frankly.
That would be good. That'd be brilliant.
Just phone in from our little homes in Scotland. And you can
well,
anyway.
On that note, I think that brings us to the end of Monday night's Hotline Live with Record Sport. Thank you so much for all the comments, as usual. Brilliant, as they usually are. We'll be back to do it all again tomorrow night at the later time of 8 p.m, reacting to Celtic's crucial Champions League playoff against Kairat Almaty. So hope you can join us then. Swanee, it's always a pleasure.
I like that, Daniel. It was very TV, and we'll be back at the later time tomorrow. I'd like that. Thank you, Daniel. Much appreciated.
I practiced that in the mirror earlier. But
very good.
Aye. Thanks for watching at home as well. Hope you can join us tomorrow. Cheers.
Cheers, everyone.